What am I to do?
Welcome to He Said, She Said Razor Branding Podcast with Michael Russo and Jaci Russo. To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandrusso.com.
Michael, our guest today, Meghan Marks with Orca Security, is so good. She's dynamic. She's smart. She has risen to the top of not just her company, but her field. And her knowledge and expertise around marketing is, to me, it was like a Harvard level class in how CMOs should handle their shit.
Yeah, no, she was awesome.
Yeah.
My dream, and not that we haven't had great guests on, but she raised the bar. She was like really, really awesome. But just in her command of her position, of the
Yeah.
industry, of what she does and her teams,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah. No, if I ever quit this agency, I'm going to go apply to work for her.
I already submitted my application.
I knew it. I can tell. I thought at one point you looked a little distracted. I knew that's what you were doing.
I want to be on
do not
Megan's
hire
team.
him. No. I bet everybody does, though. I would love her. I mean, she takes her team to Austin to do their yearly planning. I mean, come on. And by the way, CMOs, that's the way you get the talent to stick with your team is you make the experience fun, which is one of the things we talk about.
Yeah, and an apology for oh man, I just switched the views, so I'm sorry. When Reagan gets this is why it switched. Sorry about that. Apologize for Jackie's microphone. She failed in making sure that her equipment was working properly, and that's why she sounds like she's in a cave.
They can't even tell the difference between last episode and this episode.
You can tell. I'm gonna try to fix it, but we'll
All
see.
right, comes to my office and get me hooked up.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Oh wait, we got Megan.
I mean, I thought I had done it when I said, and she makes it fun. And then I thought that was a perfect segue to welcome Megan. But then you kept talking and giving me shit about my microphone. So maybe Reagan could just stop it there.
We'll see what she does.
Fingers crossed.
All right, and here is Megan. See what I did? Hand it
Oh,
off.
that was nice. Look at you. Good job.
Bye.
Bye. Come fix my microphone.
All right.
To do when the day is through.
Megan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm so excited that you're here. And I want to jump into all of my questions, but I'm trying to kind of get this right because Michael thinks I'm an abrupt starter. And so maybe we start with you telling us a little bit about your background and where you are now. And then I can start peppering you with all the questions I have.
I love it. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you for having me. I am a lifer as a marketer. I started out my career working at Oregon Public Broadcasting, which was the PBS station here in Portland. And from there, I went into tech, and I have been in tech ever since. Early in my career, marketing hardware. And then after a few years, I went into SaaS, and I've been in SaaS marketing for 20 years at this point. And I've worked at companies, small startups, and I've worked at large companies like Siemens and Palo Alto Networks. And currently, I am the CMO of Orca Security. We are a cloud security company founded in 2019. And I've been leading the marketing team here for 4 years.
That is awesome. So when, for our listeners who may not be as savvy about the space that you're in, SaaS is software as a service.
Correct.
So, yeah, I just wanted to show off that I knew that. That was my goal.
Well, and when it comes to marketing tactics, it's a little bit different than, let's say, marketing a physical asset.
Right.
And it tends to be a really fast-paced industry.
I believe that might be the understatement of the day. We'll hold on and see if it changes later. But yeah. So let's talk about some of the kinds of marketing campaigns that you do for Orca. I mean, y'all aren't a startup anymore. Y'all are a real company that's gotten big.
We are.
So, let's talk about I'm going to retract myself. Let's start with your team. Talk about your internal team and the outside resources that you leverage for the marketing that you're doing.
Sure. So when it comes to building marketing teams, I take a potentially different philosophy, and that is, I don't believe it's an accomplishment to have the biggest marketing team. I believe the accomplishment is having the right team that understands what their roles are across the marketing process. And I also believe that when you are grinding every single day running marketing, you need outside help. So my approach is internal team, strong internal creative and writers and field marketers and digital people, and then augmented externally with folks who are up to date on all the things that are changing so quickly, whether it be creative, whether it's what's happening with AI and how do we best leverage all the things happening there on the marketing ops side. Yeah, so it's a mix.
Right. Well, and I think that you're wise to leverage both. I think the strongest teams, whether it's a 100-person in-house team, those outside resources can help because that's the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's true.
absolutely.
And by the way, I don't I've been in organizations where there's a competition external to internal. And now that I sit in the CMO seat, it's really important to me that I diffuse that because I don't see it as a competition. So sometimes when it comes to creative, you might get someone internally that feels really threatened, like, how come the CMO wants to go out? Because I'm so talented. You are talented.
Right.
But we also need to know when we need help. So I'm big on making sure that that relationship is one that is super positive on both sides and not competitive.
You are
That's
my
so
new best
smart.
friend. I know you are my new best friend, Megan. We talk about that a lot internally. Actually, I wrote a paper recently for we were having some troubles with a certain situation, and it was basically, look, this is why we're here. This is what our goal is. This is what we're doing. Basically,
Yeah.
how to work well with an agency, and that marketing director is so key to that relationship. I mean, you know, from an outside agency, we can't do anything without them. I mean, they're
No.
internal. They have the voice. They have the pulse. They understand things that we don't understand. But if they're threatened, that relationship is going to go nowhere. And that threat comes up a lot sometimes. And for job security, for oh, they're going to make me look bad. I'm like, look, we're here to make you look good. That's
Yes.
our goal. And when you have that kind of symbiotic relationship, I think you're able to do great things. But without it, it's a train wreck waiting to happen.
But I have worked in really, really large organizations where the best work is the work that is shipped out. And that is also something that I think leads to the tension and competition. So when you look at how you manage creative work, if you take the Super Bowl commercial and it's the inside team doesn't get to work on it, that doesn't work either because creatives want to build a portfolio. So having the ability to help your internal team build a portfolio that they're proud of and not just take all the fun stuff and, you know, we're wrapping a race car or we're doing like a cool commercial, you know, a lot of the big brand stuff, then it just like automatically goes out and that you got to balance that with your internal team.
Yeah, it's
Right.
hard. I mean, it's emotional. I mean, people, if you're in a
Yes.
creative space, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve. You can't help it. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I always say, you know, if you're going into this business as a creative, thinking that you're going to be an artist, you're in the wrong business because you're going to get hurt every day. You're going to get your heart crushed. You know,
Really true.
everybody's got an opinion, right? And so they're judging your work. So you have to have a thick skin. You say that out loud, but internally, I mean, we had Jaci was mentioning a disagreement we had last night. It was over a creative thing that I had submitted that she threw aside, and I was like, I'm out. I'm not
To
talking
be
anymore.
clear, I said it's good, and I asked a question and then shut down. I got nothing for 6 hours.
Well,
So
I think here's the thing. Marketing is emotional.
yes,
And I say that as I'm a woman and I know that I've worked with all kinds of marketers and marketing is emotional. That's our whole job. Our job is to make people react, take action, think, feel. And because of that, particularly when you're working with high performing people, they're going to get emotional. And by the way, it's up to us as marketing leaders to figure out how do you point that emotion in the right direction.
yes,
And unfortunately, yes, thick skin is required. I would say in B2B, in a job like mine, the thick skin is required because it's not just externally, it's internally. You have sellers. I think they have the hardest job in the company, and they are out every single day in the literal trenches, and they're fighting the good fight, and they have opinions. And it's really easy for us as marketers to get really upset and say, "Oh, okay, I was just on a QBR last night, quarterly business review with a bunch of salespeople, and they go one by one, and they're talking through all of their deals." And as they talk through their deals, they also talk about what's their pipeline plan. How are they going to build pipeline in their region? And that, of course, requires marketing. And so they're, they're making comments about marketing. I don't like this. I think we should do more of that. And, it's important that my team and the leaders on my team feel like that they put the armor down. Gotta put the armor down and just be comfortable that there might be some good inside of that feedback, even though you're working really hard. You put everything you had into that, whatever it is. We did this trade show. It was super complicated. We rushed to get it done. And then we didn't do maybe this one thing. And it hurts to hear that.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I love that you brought up the sales team because I think that, just as we talked about the challenge between the internal marketing team and external marketing teams, we've also got challenges internal. We always hear about the silo, marketing and sales siloed. So what do you do to make friends with your sales team across the hall?
Well, first of all, in my job, it's at the C level. It is critical that the CRO and I get along. And similar to what I'm saying about my team at the, sales rep level, I have to be able to put my armor down and listen. So I would say that's probably one of my personal secrets to my success is that I am willing to listen and build relationships and be super helpful. That's part of my job. I mean, we are the growth engine of the company. That doesn't come with a specific playbook of exactly how you're going to grow the company in any given time. But I can guarantee you, if your go-to-market organization is segmented and siloed and doesn't get along and blames each other, you will not be successful, no matter what. I don't care if you have the best marketing in the entire world. It won't work.
Correct.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, and you have to kind of check your ego a lot of times, and which is hard in an ego business because you wear your heart on your sleeve with stuff. But like recently, we Jackie's normally not allowed to pitch things in meetings when I'm around because sometimes she'll come up with things that a client may like and I don't like, and all of a sudden they gravitate to it, and I'm stuck with it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, all right, so whatever. But she does have great ideas sometimes, and recently she pitched something, and it was I threw it off as silly at first. And then the more I did it, the more I liked it, the more we went into it. The client loved it, ended up being a home run, but it came from a really untraditional way, and that happens all the time. Sometimes you hear something, you're like, where did that come from? It comes from, oh, come on now. You got to win. You got to win.
I think what I find is the most successful salespeople are going to be your biggest critics, but also your best teachers. Because those, like I said, you're in the trenches, you're out there, they are working so hard. And I think that, again, hardest job. And they're going to see things you're not going to see because I'm not at every sales meeting. I'm not at every partner conference. I'm not sitting and listening to every single conversation at the customer level. And, it's those kind of like $1 million high performer reps where they come to you and they say, look, this is a problem. Like, Meghan, you're not paying attention right here. And it is a problem. And if as marketers, we just shut off our ears and go, la, 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 we're great. Failure.
Yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about, our part of our process is focus and really connecting with understanding the consumer, understanding the end user, right?
Yeah.
And they're the front lines. They're the ones that are engaging with them in a way that nobody else is. And you have to listen to that insight, or otherwise you're just spinning wheels.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that's fascinating to me, Meghan, about what you've been able to accomplish is you've been in your position for over 4 years. And in your industry, that usually doesn't happen. So how have you managed to pull that off so that you've continued to be successful this whole time?
I feel incredibly grateful that I have been at Orca for as long as I have. I'll tell you, when I left my last job, there was, and I'll never forget it, there was a coworker at the time, and she told me 2 things. One, she said, Meghan, you're not ready. And the second thing she told me is, you're gonna fail as a CMO, and you're gonna get fired in like 9 months. And I remember looking at her going, maybe. And if that's what happened, it was worth the risk for me because I believed so much in Orca, and I still believe in our mission and our product and our people. And my personal passion and belief is what has kept me here for 4 years. And I would say probably my ability to adjust. It's super important that marketing be able to be that sort of, heartbeat of the company. And again, I think that's emotional because it is emotional. We are here to get people excited to work here and proud. We get to be that external voice to make people proud. So my ability to adjust and lead in times of challenge and change is why I'm still here. And I believe in the mission. I believe in what we're doing.
Who was it?
And
Who
I
told,
love that.
who gave you that advice? Was that a friend?
No,
Former.
it was a
Oh,
yeah,
you-
it was a coworker, and she was a really senior executive. She wasn't my boss, but she was a senior executive in my previous marketing team, and I think she was coming from a place of love,
Mhm.
because she really wanted me to stay in my current position. So she wanted me to stay, so that was her motivation. But unfortunately, anyone who knows me, if you're going to challenge me, that's only going to make me want to do it more. So, and of course, after I hit a year at Orca, I sent her like a screenshot from LinkedIn with
I
a
was about to
thumbs
say,
up.
yeah, let's call her. Let's call her right now and say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
I'm
how'd that work
good.
out? You were wrong.
Well, and where are you now? And how is
Yeah,
your career going?
exactly. Right. Are
Yeah.
you a CMO? Ooh,
Right.
no.
Right. Yeah. I kind of want to go kick her ass, but I think you've taken the high road, so I will too.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I don't want to take the high road.
I,
So
yeah.
go ahead.
I think you should take, you know what? I was going to say another thing that I'm seeing a big trend right now, and I'm curious if you guys see this, and that is when you have talent leave your organization and the reaction to how if someone says like, Meghan, I'm resigning, I found my dream job, and this is all the reasons why, I am happy for you.
Yeah.
And I do not understand this, and I've seen it quite a bit lately, like other CMO friends calling me, and they're just so pissed off. And I'm a kid. Do you remember what it was like when you were in that stage of your career and you got somebody who said, I want to make you a senior director, and you've never done that job before, and the idea of the change is really exciting. I am happy for you.
Right.
And I wish I could just say that on like the biggest platform. I
Right.
don't see what people think they're going to get by being nasty when someone resigns from your organization.
No.
Don't get it.
No, life is too short. The town is too small. The industry is too connected. Why would you ruin a relationship? Because you're going to cross paths again.
Yes.
Now,
Years
Jackie and
ago,
I, we disagree on some of that. I mean, like we don't disagree, but we handle it differently. For me, it's an emotional thing. I mean, when somebody leaves, it's like, well, you don't like us anymore. Like it's more of a her feelings thing, like, kind of thing. And because you've invested your time and your resources and your trust in
Yeah.
that person. And, but yeah, Jackie's right. She's usually the one to talk me off the ledge and say, there's upside to all this. And as long as we're leaving on good notes and all these good things, but it's hard. It's hard to
no,
do that.
no, but we wish them well.
And we
Yeah, but
do, but we
you're
don't.
right. We wish them well, and your investment paid off because that person 5, 7, 10 years down the road, they're going to remember. I still remember my first boss and everything I learned from her. So, I mean, I worked at the hardware company I worked at the time was a $300 million company, and we had a 4-person marketing team. Again, margins on hardware are not like software. So, it was probably the most fun job I've ever had because I got a chance to do everything. And this was before marketing automation. So, I was building emails, I was writing Google ads, I was doing press releases, events. I mean, anything you can imagine that you kind of would sprinkle around to a specialist, I got to do. And it was really fun. And I will never forget that boss because she is, and when it was time for me to go, when I'd stayed 3.5-ish years, she was my biggest champion. And we're still friends to this day.
As it should be. No one should expect 40 years in a gold watch anymore. That's not the reality we live in. And
No.
so I think we should support and train and encourage everyone while they're with us, and know that they won't be with us forever. And that's okay.
I agree. But I also
Michael,
agree with you, Michael. It's hard.
It is. It is.
you can't pick a side. You can't agree with both of us.
Megan
Yes, I
gets me.
can.
She understands. She understands.
I do.
Whatever. All right, so let's talk some more about Orca. You
Sure.
know, the space you're in is so competitive.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's such industry language, and that role of translator and megaphone that you have to sit in is kind of hard. What are some of the things you do or lean on, or things that you think about to help separate Orca from competition and really make sure you're creating a message that's going to resonate?
It's incredibly tough. I would argue it's probably outside of AI, the most competitive space in the world right now. And that's because so many people are innovating in the cloud. The cloud is critical to growth of every single industry. So everybody wants things at their fingertips, faster, better, etc. So the cloud is at the center of all of that. When I think about differentiation, there's how you differentiate in terms of what you're offering. And then there's how do you differentiate as a company? And so I really push my team to make sure we understand both. So why is our offering the best that it can be against these, giants that we compete against? And we have it in an interesting way. You have these large giants, and you also have small startups. Like it's a really hot space. And so how do you think about the differentiation there? How does that articulate into your messaging? As marketers, I see a tendency to want to jump from messaging into tactics right away. And so I'm like, pull it back. Who are we trying to target? What's the message? How do we differentiate ourselves? So there's the messaging side of things. And then there's, the tactics as well.
Right.
What are the kinds of things that we will experiment with? And what are the kinds of things that we won't experiment with?
And so as you go through that process, is that all internal? Is that internal and external? Do you have an annual strategic planning workshop? Everybody gets together. How do you actually put those pieces together?
We just had, it was so fun for you to bring this up. We just had our, what I call marketing kickoff. So for us, we're on a calendar year. So marketing kickoff happens in the fall, and then the sales kickoff happens in the first quarter. So for marketing kickoff, I fly everybody in. We were just in Austin at a beautiful resort, kind of locked together for 2.5 days. It was great. And that's where we start working on, okay, what does the vision look like for the year? What's the core messaging? How does this tie into at this point, the company stuff is done. So now it's my job to take the company stuff and translate that into marketing. I think it's really important, again, marketing, because we tend to be a service to everybody else. We run sales kickoff. We help make sure all the company meetings have the, sparkle, etc. But it's really important for marketing to also do the same. In this case, it is more internal. I don't bring in many agencies in the beginning. It's more our team working through the key tenets of the strategy. What's it going to look like? And then from there, we branch out.
I like that, because now you're giving something to the outside resources, your agencies, that they can work with. You're not expecting them to figure it all out on their own. So I think that's a good blend of internal and external. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I agree.
I feel like they have the need to. I think when people come in, they feel like, okay, am I starting from scratch? Do I have to reinvent the wheel, or do I take the ball and run with it? And I think that's a whole different dynamic.
Well, I'm curious on your side. I mean, when you think about successful projects that you've worked on, at least my opinion is they are successful because we've done the pre-work ahead of time.
Yeah, 100%. What we find is, we created Razor branding in 2005 and trademarked it back then, and then wrote the book on it in 2000. It's published in 2001 by Forbes. And so for us, that process you just described, I have yet to see anyone be successful with their marketing that they're not going through something like that. To have the time and space to think, to really say, these are who our target audiences are. This is why each audience would choose us. And those answers differ. This is the messaging we need to create to connect the audience to our solutions. And then this is where we're going to put those messages so the audience sees it over and over again.
Yes.
That's magic.
And it's a step that a lot of people want to skip because it's
Oh,
not
yes.
necessarily the sexy part.
Not
And
at all.
you know, that's part of it. Now, I will say the other fun thing that I did this time around is we did our first AI hackathon as a marketing team.
Okay.
And it was really fun. We broke everybody into teams, and there was a prompt, and you had to create a campaign under sort of a set of parameters. And then we gave you 6 to 10 different AI tools that you were allowed to use. And then you got to come back and present the campaign concept, a video, ad, social card, sort of like a whole little build of elements. That was super fun because
I bet.
it's great to do the core work, but we have to also remember our job is fun.
Yeah. Well, I always say, like, we're not digging ditches in Louisiana in August. There are way harder jobs than what we do. We have a stocked kitchen of snacks in an air-conditioned building in the middle of downtown with all these fun activities and 36 restaurants within a block. And, you know, it's like, come on now. You know, we're not curing cancer.
Yes.
And so, yes, it is fun. And heavy is the head that wears the crown, because we have a responsibility to our clients to ensure that we're providing solutions that help them get results. And so if we're not doing that, the fun's going to end quickly.
Absolutely. And I do think internal teams get burned out. It's a real thing. I know that's an overused term, but
It's true.
it is true. They do. And there's just a lot that happens inside of a company to run a marketing organization and to get things done. There's the stakeholder approval, there's, you know, the opinions that you need to manage, there's all the different things you need to do to produce marketing. And it does wear people down. And you know, especially when you get other folks saying, well, I mean, look, my favorite is the links in Slack. Like, hey, did you see this? And it's like, you don't think I follow our competitors on LinkedIn? Yes,
Right.
I do. I saw it.
Absolutely.
I think one of the hardest parts too, I just did an interview a few minutes back with somebody, and they were asking me what was the hardest part about my job. And I thought about it for a second. I was like, just working in today's environment is the hardest part, because again, the world has changed dramatically. And even with our clients, we have a e-discovery firm we work with, and they do data processing and digital forensics, and really in the weeds of they're very smart people, way smarter than we are. Yes. And we basically are translators for them. How do we take that information and put it out there in the world? And but they're recently going through a lot of dramatic changes in their industry just because of the technology chain. You know, AI is disrupting them dramatically, and they're having to rethink everything. And how are they, not just today, but where are they going to be in 5 to 10 years from now with all those changes? And so we're kind of on that train with them, and figuring out messaging and what are we doing and how are we positioning this and that. And that's the struggle, I think, more than anything, because marketing is one thing. And that's, like I said, it's not, you know, that's what we do. And we come up with things and we message and we do these things. You throw in all the roadblocks that come into that, and that's where it becomes more of an obstacle. I think from small business to big corporate giants, everybody's going through the same thing right now, which is what's next.
Well, we're in a time of transformation, and there's been these, you know, mega trends over the history of technology, and we're living one right now. The last one we lived was cloud. I remember when people were saying, oh, I don't want to put my data in the cloud and I'm so afraid. And now with AI, it's about how do you lean into it in a way that is going to be effective for you at this time, but also being aware that it's changing so rapidly. I think on the design front, I was just in a creative meeting with 2 creatives, and there was someone had created something in one of the AI, maybe Midjourney, and they said, well, you know, Megan, if you want to change it, it's not like I can just go into the file and change it. I have to redo the prompts. And I'm shaking my head like, come on, we've been doing this for years now. I know that. and understanding that it's not an easy button for
True.
graphic design or design creation.
Mm-mm.
That-
And it's going to change. It will change the
Mhm.
process. It will change the accessibility. It will probably even change the speed, but it is absolutely not an easy button, particularly when you want to have brand consistency. That it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves in the next few years.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll have a client send me something every once in a while, and they're, look what I did last night. I'm like, this is like the president of the company. I'm like, what are you doing messing around with this? But they love it. They love messing around, tinkering. And they'll
Yes.
send me this video he made. I'm like, all right, first of all, that's great, but we can't use any of it. And these are the problems with it. And I'm like, the samples that you see, these are people that basically spend weeks and months creating this 30-second beautiful thing that is really hard to create. You got to have a huge budget. You got to have huge resources. You got to have, it's just like, if I'm going to go film a movie, I got to have a helicopter and a crane. And this, there's so many bells and whistles that go into creating great AI stuff. You can get by with the basic stuff, but to get great, it's still a little bit of an obstacle,
Well, it's going to be like figuring out prompts and how to write prompts. It's its own, I don't remember the name of the university, but there was one in California that now has an entire coursework on how to write prompts because it is a skill and it will be a new skill. I'm a mom, so my kids, I have a teenager, and the way he uses AI in his life already is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And our kids, so we had 3 who've just graduated college in the past 3 years, and our youngest is a senior right now. And so it's going to be fascinating to see the school your kids go to and how different it is from the school our kids went to in the same generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're not talking kids in 2020 to kids in 1950. We're
No.
talking 2023 to 2026. The world has changed.
Absolutely.
And it's not going back. And now one of our kids is an English teacher, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. No, sorry, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And so the challenges that she has in class are so different. And so I'm like, why don't you just teach them to use AI? She's like, because I want them to be thinkers. I said, okay, how do you stop them from cheating? She said, every assignment is handwritten in class.
Yes, my best friend's a high school English teacher, and they went back to the blue books where
Yes.
which, by the way, if you think about it, how many of these kids have not been writing for years?
Correct.
Chromebooks are like elementary school.
Correct.
So if you've been typing and then all of a sudden I'm asking you to write an essay, no
That's
thanks.
my biggest concern with all that, with all the AI, just not to get sidetracked with that, but it's just, I think if we stop using certain skills, we lose them. And so I think we have to still write every once in a while. We have to still put pen to paper. We have to still think about things. And AI is a great tool, and it moves so fast. It processes such information. I just took a meeting and put it in there, and it gave me back notes and bullet points and highlights and action items. It was great. It saved me hours. But I still need to go in and process that information and think and come up with my solutions for that, And
Absolutely.
I think when we stop doing that, we will run into problems in the future. But that's a whole nother subject.
It's going to be really fun. I don't know. When it comes to waves of change in technology, if you look through history, it's not going to benefit anybody for folks to opt out. So you may as well figure out, as a CMO and a leader of marketing, I've seen it be incredible. So one of the hardest things that we have to do is make sure that we're investing in targeting and really honing in our marketing to the right people. So being able to use AI for figuring out the intent signals, to figure out how you define your ideal customer profile, for how you make sure that the right message is getting to the right person at the right time. It is a huge leap forward from where we were 2 years ago. And by the way, we have reevaluated our entire MarTech stack. And I had my team started about 90 days ago. And one of the reasons was, unfortunately, the tech has changed so much. So if you have these core, I won't call them out, but let's call them like the core ABM tools that used to be creme de la creme. Unfortunately, I'm looking at what they offer and I'm going, you know what? I see these tools over here. They all connect together really well. All the data surfaces in Salesforce, and they're all AI powered. And it's incredible.
Well, people are writing their own code, their own software. They're developing their own systems internally where they don't even need the formulated one that they're buying off the shelf. They're like, how can I take this and rig it up to
Exactly.
work for me and what I need.
Hmm.
That's
Exactly.
the thing. So it's funny. I teach AI classes and I'm taking AI
Oh,
classes, right?
wow. That's
And
cool.
so, well, the ones I teach are beginner AI, how to use it for marketing. The ones I'm taking are intermediate. How do I learn so that I can be a better teacher, right? So, and I do them sometimes on the same day, which is very complicated. But in the classes I'm taking, we started vibe coding a couple of weeks ago, and I've been building apps, funnels, all this stuff. And it is
Amazing.
mind blowing to think, to your point, how, and we're not there quite yet, but how soon we will be at a place where the next time we evolve our whole tech stack, we're not replacing one thing with another. We're just building something completely custom to us.
It's an option. And I
Yeah,
think, when you think about in B2B, one of the biggest challenges that B2B marketers face is how do you attract attention? And when you think about attention, and I don't mean like big brand moments, like everybody's got
correct.
their giant conference, especially cybersecurity CMOs. We've got our big, one conference a year and everybody's got to show up. And if you don't show up well there, it's really not good for your personal brand. But outside of that, how do you do outbounding? How do we enable the SDR teams that are calling on the phone? What does that look like? How do you have the right engagement and the right tools? And what does email look like? And how is it tied into social? And like all those little interactions and all those data points, that's where, to me, AI is going to be truly transformational when it comes to the go-to-market.
Yeah. 100%. The thing that's fascinating to me is no matter what, it still comes down to one person selling something to another person. And so
Mhm.
that leads me to my next set of questions around that. We've always talked about B2B is considered to be so segmented and hard and complicated. But if you bring a little bit of a B2C philosophy, you can do really good things.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I kind of want to talk about next is trade shows and conferences. They're back, baby. I mean, we
Oh,
may
yeah.
have gone quiet 2021, 22, but all of a sudden, everything is an in-person event again. I think because people want to be one person selling to another person. So
Mhm.
what are your frameworks for really making those investments pay off before, during, and after trade shows?
So the first thing is, we talk about collaboration with sales. In B2C, you're selling to consumers. In B2B, I'm still selling to people, but also I have people in the middle that I have to make sure are on the journey with me. So in terms of the frameworks, in cybersecurity, you could do 10 events a day. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
There are cybersecurity and cloud security events around the world. So the hardest kind of initial challenge is deciding what's the threshold for where you invest. And that's where knowing who you need to talk to is important. We have RSA, that's our kind of largest trade show. That happens in San Francisco every year. Next year it's in March. So that's kind of one, like what are your anchor? I call them tier one. What are your tier one events? And then for each one of those tier one events, how do you build the story for the year? So making sure you have the story, so you're not redoing it every single show. And that's kind of one. And then for smaller events, I agree with you. I think in person is back. I was in San Francisco 2 weeks ago, and San Francisco is a notoriously hard city to get people to show up in person because there's so many options. I think it's harder than New York. I really do. I think it's one of the hardest cities in the US. And we had a jam-packed dinner on a Monday night, and I was so surprised. But the reason why we had it with a partner, I think that was a big part of it. We were at a Michelin star restaurant, so the attractor
It
was the
helps.
experience. Yeah, I mean, the food was amazing. And the content was light. So it's figuring out your event strategy of like, where are you going to be at the big anchor tier one trade shows? What does it look like inside each one of your regions, if you will? It's how, we think of them. And then what is the human experience? People still want at the base level, they want to do cool things and be part of cool things. Because events are back, I think the threshold for people wanting to go to events is it's harder to get my attention. Like I get invited to all kinds of cool events, as I'm sure you all do too. But I take maybe one out of 50 invitations, and it's got to be something pretty cool. So being creative on whether it's the experience, whether it's on the content, doing it on a Monday night versus asking people to go out during their family time on a Friday or Saturday, just like thinking about all those different elements, they really matter.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And I love that you're talking about ways people can make that experience even more interesting, because you're right, the competition has reached a fever pitch. It's so loud. And yet, we're in a smaller market, mid-major, Lafayette, Louisiana. And so we look around and HR has all these things. The CPAs have all these things. The lawyers have all these things. Marketers, nothing. And so we got some other agencies together and we're collaborating on putting on a marketing conference in January, because all the in-house marketers we don't have an ad fed chapter. We don't have an AMA chapter. And so we need that community and collaboration so we can grow together.
You have to be able to talk to each other.
Yes.
It is so important to be able to phone a friend. I can't tell you how many times I call my CMO friends and I'm like, did you go through this?
Right.
Wasn't this bad for you?
Right.
Because you need somebody. You need to be able to phone a friend and say, I am going through hell right now. How did you manage this? Or, hey, do you have an agency that can do this? Because I need to turn a global roadshow on a dime. What's a good event agency? Who can I work with?
Right.
Important.
Right. So important. And I love, and we're going to talk about agencies now, because I love that you specifically put a qualifier in front of that agency. I find all too often agencies try to be all things to all people. And so how do you all know who to pick if everybody's out there saying, I can do anything? Pick me, pick me. That scarcity mindset makes me crazy.
I don't believe it.
Pick your lane. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Don't.
I don't. I've worked with enough in my career, especially because I've worked at Fortune 500 companies as well. So I've worked with like some of the biggest in the world when we're doing commercials and big things like that. And then it kind of scales down from there. The ones that I see that are most successful are the ones that are comfortable knowing, look, I'm really good at, let's say, trade show experiential design. But I'm over here, I'm really good on social. Do I think the same company can do both? Yes. You got to have the teams of people and the experts. But it just, as a marketing leader, I can tell you, I'm not going to hire one company to do it all. No way. I've seen that model, by the way. I worked at a large company recently where we had one of those dream agency scenarios, and it was a major fail.
Yeah, it's going to be. There's no way around it. It's totally going to be. And so it's crazy to me when agencies try to claim, especially mid-market agencies, try to claim they're big enough to be all things to all people. And big agencies try to claim they're small enough to be nimble and responsive and affordable. I'm like, y'all can't have that all.
No.
Pick your lane.
To me, it's too risky as a marketing leader for you to say, I'm going to go all in here. I believe in having multiple agencies, multiple outside help by different functions. And sometimes you might discover, in fact, we had this recently where we had this amazing team that was working on content that turned out was amazing at video. It was an accident that we figured it out. But would I go all in on all things? No, I think it's too risky.
Agree. Michael just picked up the pen of ideas. So I know he's got something he wants to say.
Ooh.
No, just thinking about all that and like our journey. We going on almost 25 years now, but like for probably the first 10 years, Jaci had worked in LA. I had worked in Seattle. We both moved home to our hometown, Louisiana, and started an agency. And it took a while for us to not be the pretty girl in the room. I mean, it was always the guy in Houston or Dallas or Chicago, And the past 10 years has really changed for us in that we started, I don't know what happened, but technology really, like these kind of meetings, Zoom meetings and things like that, you didn't need to be down the hall. And all of a sudden people were realizing, oh, they're a lot more affordable from a smaller market. And they can still do, big city work. And it was a game changer for us as far as being able to get invited to the table, to be able to have the opportunity to go do the work. And because for a while it was the the giant 100, 200 person agency. And again, we've partnered with them on certain things, and it's a mess. It's really hard to figure out who's doing what, and the accountability level is just all over the place. And usually what I've seen is they usually end badly. Something it's like, that's when you end up laying off half your team because you lost a huge account. It's like, luckily we haven't been through that, and for good reason, because we know what we can do. Like Jaci was saying, we know what we're good at, and we try to stay in those lanes. She's come to us many times and said, "Hey, I have this project, and can we do that?" And we're like, "No, we can't. We don't have the resources, and for that. Otherwise, we're going to pull from everything else, and to go all in on one thing just doesn't make sense."
Well, it's kind of like what I was saying about building marketing teams. It's a great idea and I've been a part of these teams, to build 300-400 person marketing teams. What happens is if you don't have the marketing process down, the boring process, who are you marketing to? Who is the message? Who is selling it? What's the routes to market? Like all of those fundamentals. And then, by the way, take it all the way through, how does a program get out the door? If you just throw bodies on projects, it actually costs more and it takes more time. And that's how you end up in a situation where, I don't know, 10 years or so, 8 years or so in my career, where I was a very large international Fortune 500, and it took like 80 people to approve a press release. I mean, come on, and by the time you got all the way down the chain, I couldn't even tell you what the message of the press release was. And so, I don't know, I think just having the right understanding of the marketing process, having people understand their roles and responsibilities and defined goals. I can't tell you how many times I see this where, a friend will call me and like, "Oh, this person, they're not doing very well." And it's, well, do they know what they're supposed to be? Do they have a goal? Like, what's the company's goal and how is their goal related to that goal? Because I don't know about you, but when I get up in the morning, I want to know the work I'm doing is helping drive something larger. And I felt that way when I was 25 and I was writing web copy and emails.
Right.
Yeah, you have
No.
to. I mean, like Jack was talking about our process earlier, and it is basically that. It's 4 elements: it's focus, promise, connection, and harmony. It's the who, the what, the why, and the where. And it's basic elements of advertising. But people, like you said, they skip steps. And we just did a presentation, and it's always the same thing. We have like a 2-hour window to do it. We got like 30 people on the call, and the first 120 pages is nothing but that. It's about this and that, and competitor profiles, and who you are, and audiences, and internal interviews, and all these other stuff. And then like almost past the halfway point, then we get to the good stuff. Like I get to show creative, and you get to like show the result of all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're not changing that because that's important. It's so important that everybody understands how we got here and why we're here. We didn't just have a good idea one night and say, "Hey, let's just try it." No, that's people's money you're working with. I mean, I'm going to
what
try
about
it
the
out.
approval process, Michael? I mean, think about like defining the approval process. How many times do you start something and then you realize, and it doesn't matter if it's a small company or a large company. Again, I've been in both. They all have their opportunities, let's say. But that to me is marketing by committee. Forget about it. You think that you're going to get better work by having 12 people approve the same campaign? No. So understanding that approval process, who's going to approve it? It's almost like in sales. Okay, what's the estimated close date? Okay, how many people have to sign the contract? Who's going to review it? The same thing is true in marketing. If we're running a campaign, does this mean every product marketer has to sign off on the writing? No, like we don't. So that figuring out that as part of the overall work is super important.
Right. Right. No. Okay. We could do this for another hour, and I don't think anybody would be sad about it because this has been so good. But if I don't cut us off, somebody's going to be late for their next thing. It's probably going to be me. So, Meghan, I am grateful for your time, your intelligence, your willingness to share and get down into the dirty with us. This was awesome.
I think you two are hilarious, and I really, really am happy that I got to meet you and learn about your process as well and what you're doing in Louisiana, which is really neat.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's been fun. I mean, the 25 years have flown by, but it's been a good spot. It's nice to be home and be here with food and family and festivals and all the fun stuff that makes this area so great.
What's funny though is that we came home and we did, like I said, the first many years is a lot of local regional work, and now we have maybe one client in the state right now.
Yeah.
So everything we're doing is been exported back out, which is kind of great. You know, it's you know.
But
Yeah.
don't you think, I mean, look, post-COVID, what we realized is that talent wants to be where talent wants to be.
Yep.
And all the people that moved from the big cities and they moved, let's say, you know, back home to where they wanted to be, or maybe because they're fly fishermen and they want to live by the, I don't know, they don't want to live in the valley anymore. It's gonna
Right.
that it has changed. The way that we've worked has changed. I know a
Yeah.
lot of big companies are calling people back to the office, and I totally respect that if that's what's right
Sure.
for your business. But there's also lots of examples of talent where it doesn't matter where the talent is, because we're all virtual in this world together. And
Correct.
yeah, let's go drive cool things. And
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you
exactly.
so much for having me.
No, thank you. Okay, so for everybody listening, we're going to put in the show notes where and how you can find Meghan so you can follow and continue to be with her on her journey. And thank you. We appreciate you.
Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
What am I to do when the day is through?